Hey besties, welcome back to another episode of the Marketing Millennials. I'm Tamara and I'm stepping in as your guest host while Daniel's out on paternity leave. I'm a career product marketing leader and the former VP of PMM at high-growth startups like Kajabi and Unbounce. Now, I'm the founder of PMM Camp, a community and newsletter for product marketing leaders. And while Daniel's off doing dad things, I'll be here bringing you fun conversations with some of the smartest marketers I know. Today, I'm joined by Michelle Nieberding, the Director of Product Marketing at Treasure Data. Michelle is a marketer on a mission to help her peers ditch the fear, get curious, and have fun with AI. She's been hands-on with the latest tools, sharing experiments, wins, and lessons with her network on LinkedIn. It's some of my favorite content to consume. Today, we talk about how marketers can use AI to spark creativity, save time, and future-proof their careers without losing the human touch. Plus, we do a fun little lightning round where Michelle shares her favorite tools to solve specific marketing challenges I throw at her, leaving you with a list of new tools to try ASAP.
Welcome to the Marketing Millennials, the No BS Marketing Podcast. I'm Daniel Murray, and join me for unfiltered conversations with the brains behind marketing's coolest companies. The one request I tell our guests: stories or it didn't happen. Get ready to turn the up.
Michelle, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
You are very welcome. I was so excited for this episode because I have been following your content and I cannot wait to pick your brain all episode long. For those that don't know, you have been really openly exploring AI and specifically AI for marketers and sharing what you've been learning along the way, mostly on LinkedIn. And I'm just curious, what first kind of sparked your curiosity for this in the first place?
Yeah. So a couple of things. So I was at a 30-person tech startup, because of course, and I was the only product marketer, so solo and founding product marketer on a marketing team of 2. So my boss, God bless him, handling a lot of event logistics and some paid digital things, totally out of my wheelhouse. But to support marketing/product marketing at a startup, you kind of have to figure things out, right? And I was like, okay, I'm seeing AI everywhere and all these tools, and I love tech. I'm, in tech for a reason, I guess. But I'm like, if this can help me do either the things that I don't love about my job or things that take a lot of time or speed up the process, because time is money. And when you're at a startup, you have to move really, really quickly to make sure, you get the deals. And at the time we were focused on enterprise. So that's a whole nother can of worms. But it was just really fun to play around with tools and figure out, okay, what is actually going to help me do my job better and faster and really make a difference in what we were doing as a very small team of 2. So I just got really into again, tinkering and learning and playing around. And at the end of the day, holy cow, this is going to make my life so much easier. And just had a lot of fun with it. So it was kind of out of necessity, but now it's become just a fun hobby. I say I'm an AI enthusiast, not an expert. It changes every day. But enthusiast for sure. It's fun to play around with.
I love it. And I'm sure everyone can already tell the energy that you bring to this. And I think that is one of the reasons I love your content so much because, AI, it's freaking us all out. Let's just be honest, right? It's changing the job. As you said, every day it's changing. I think there's a lot of questions around what does this mean for marketing? What does this mean for tech? And so often people that I see covering AI take this more fearful approach.
Sure.
And I love your content because I say that it feels playful, right? And that you approach it from this place of play rather than panic. And so I'm just curious about, have you even thought about that as the mindset that you are taking? Or how are you advising other marketers to think about AI so that they're not becoming overwhelmed?
Sure. Yeah. It's this idea of play and panic, I'm not sure, it initially crossed my mind, which is almost ironic as an anxious control type A person. It's kind of funny that I think my normal mindset out of side of my professional life is maybe anxiety and panic. It's fine. We're fine. But when it comes to AI, I feel if we're panicking, that's when we go into paralysis, right? We're too afraid to try anything new. We kind of freeze, we overanalyze, and it just becomes your worst enemy. It becomes hard to even, try out kind of low-hanging fruit of maybe tools that you already have as a marketer because you're so, worried about like, is it going to take my job? Is it going to mess up something in the database? I mean, we do have those moments. We have, those ideas of like what is stopping us from really pursuing this. But when you take the playful approach and like inquisitive approach and just like try things, I mean, I've spent too many hours on AI tools that like don't work. I mean, you're going to have those moments, but like when you find the ones that do and you get into your AI groove and you're like, wow, why didn't I do this, 3 weeks ago? It just makes all the difference. Like it's I don't know, maybe kind of like sports. Like you're learning a sport. It can feel really daunting at first and like you might not be amazing at it, but then you like start to get good. Or for me, I've been learning golf and you hit that one good shot and you're like, this is the most amazing thing ever. So I feel like you just keep that mentality as you learn anything new, and it becomes more manageable.
Yeah, I think like approaching with curiosity definitely makes things more fun. And I know even in my experience playing around with AI tools, and I've not done it to the extent that you have, but you start to hit those limitations, as you mentioned, and it's almost reassuring in a way. It's like, okay, it's not quite there yet, at least not for everything. Like I still have a place here,
Yes, they still need me. I am still, yeah. It's so, there's so many good stories of like them. So, okay, here, we'll throw it back to like when AI first came out and it was like image generation, everything, right? We're doing this for images. There's so many like memes and good stuff out there with like the hands that are just like morphed into each other. I'm like, this is my vibe right now. Like, this is great. They still need me and my designers and my, graphic people to actually make hands. Like, sure, AI is going to get better, but even where we are now, I know a lot of people are using Google's Notebook LM for like taking text and turning it into like a podcast style interview, something like this. Guess what? They still need podcasts. So if you use Google Notebook LM, it's funny. So when I was testing it for like an internal enablement project, the like person A and person B, they swapped genders in the middle of the podcast. And it's like, oh, okay, like that's not confusing at all. So yes, there's lots of stories where you're like, still need us. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yes, we are still required for a little bit longer. So today I want to make sure that in the episode, we go a little bit into how marketers can start exploring tools. But before we get there, I want to make sure that people are able to walk away with at least one thing that they can try before the end of the week. So I thought it might be fun if we did a little lightning round. So I'm going to give you a marketing task, and then you tell me the tool that you would try and maybe like one tip or something for making that tool work.
Totally.
How does that sound?
Gosh. It's like speed dating. Let's do it.
Exactly. Okay. Let's speed date that AI. Okay. First one, writing copy for a product launch email.
So 2 thoughts here. One, if you have a video already, so you have a video with a product marketer, a product person, CEO, something like that. I would use, it's called Alphana, Alphana. Put the video in and you get everything beyond just a launch email. You'll get everything you need for a launch. So press release, web page, FAQ, social copy, everything, including a product launch email. So the reason I like Alphana is you see it all together and you're like, yes, no, like figure it out as a project, not just a launch email when a launch email is part of a broader launch, right? So like amazing for that. If you want copy to copy, I don't know, kind of boring, but true. A Gemini or Claude, ChatGPT or Claude are better for that. You can use Gemini, but I think I don't know. We have a love-hate on ChatGPT 5. I don't think it's as good for some of the like more in-depth content, but try that. And so tips on using that, like give the tone, give the style, give like the output that you want, be very, very descriptive on what you want to get out of that. And when in doubt, if you're not sure about your prompt, you want to make your prompt better. There's a site called Prompt Genie. Okay, there's one called Prompt Cowboy. I haven't tried it, but Prompt Genie will take, anything. If you just say, hey, write a product launch email with this, it'll make your prompt so much better for ChatGPT or Claude or wherever you're putting that. So 10 out of 10 recommend.
I love that. And Alphana is on my list of tools to try. I know you had recommended that to me before. Okay. Maybe your next answer is also going to be Alphana, but repurposing a webinar into social content.
So see, here's where AI is tricky. Like there's a tool for everything. So for this one, I would actually recommend, it's called Opus Clip. You put in the webinar, and what's really cool about it is it'll split an entire webinar, I think it's like up to 3 hours, into little social snippets. So it's like 30 to 90 seconds. It does all the transcription, and then it ranks every clip of what it thinks will be like most viral. So it'll give you like the topic of what was discussed in that clip. Again, the transcript's on the video, but it'll rank it for you, and you get to see why it ranked it from 0 to 100 on like how viral it'll go. But it's cool to see what it'll pull out, and you say yes, no, or like, maybe I don't look good in that clip, go to the next one. But it's all like full inventory library ready to go with just an uploaded webinar.
I love that. I wonder how it like closes the feedback loop of what actually does go viral or get performance. That would be cool to like connect that.
Yeah, an analytics layer would be interesting, or even like an integration, right? Like if you could take that clip and then share it directly out to your channels. Right now it's like a download and then paste into your channels. But yeah, an analytics layer would be huge. We'll have to let them know.
Yeah, we'll give them the feedback.
We'll let them know, yeah.
The next one is analyzing customer feedback to find insights.
So I always laugh about this one because I'm like, it is shocking to me how hard it is to get access to our customers sometimes. Like, it shouldn't be. So I will leave that out there for the ether to to think about. But one of my favorite new tools for this is called Retellio. And it is like an analytics layer that you put on top of like your Gong, your course, so your call recordings, your CRM, and your support tickets. So it's like a nice way to collect all of the voice of the customer. But what Retellio does really well is it'll give you like pre-built buckets, like templates to categorize all of that information. So all the customer feedback, qualitative data that you're getting. It'll pull out things like what objections are you getting? Are there product suggestions, product recommendations? Are there bugs that need to be fixed? And it actually routes those bug issues to the appropriate place. Like, it's really cool because it'll take all that and give you those categories. One of the best one for marketers, I just met with the founder. He's seen a lot of marketers pick this up, is customer testimonials. So like those gold nuggets that we all know and love. So it'll surface all of the customer testimonials, and it'll tell you, again, it'll rank it by like what it thinks is most social, or what, is the best for social. But what's even cooler, I think, I love a Slack integration. Like anything, God, like I live and breathe in Slack, like who doesn't these days? But it'll give a notification anytime a good testimonial pops up. It can integrate, send it straight into a Slack channel. And then you can even do like, bring all of this into a podcast style. So your executives, if they want to hear like the best customer testimonials of the week, or like what went wrong in customer calls that week, it'll collect everything, put it into that like podcast style section, and your execs can listen to like, again, all the good, all the bad, all the ugly every week, every month, how often that they want. It's just kind of like an audio list that you just get through, which is like really cool because, again, you don't have to bring all that together. You don't have to go dig out these quotes. You just get the quotes, go to the customer, get approval, move on. Thank God.
Yeah. I love it. That's like voice of customer, like cranked up. That I definitely will check
on
out
steroids. That yeah. I like heard about last week. I'm like, yep, sign me up. Like, let's go. As a Gong fangirl, I just send me some better analytics. I was using filters, just manual filters forever. And this is like so much cooler. It's a good time.
Totally. Okay. A few more. Generating creative campaign ideas.
So I have a lot of thoughts on this one because there's a lot of places you can get it. Again, like ChatGPT or Claude, like fine. I think when it comes up with creating creative campaign ideas, what's most important here is really the prompts that you're putting into those. So for example, if you want to take some of those testimonials or calls that you're getting and then put them into maybe Perplexity or something a little more secure, that's a whole nother thing. But you want like the voice of the customer to then help come up or generate those campaign ideas. That's a good idea to do it. But again, the prompt has to be like really, really thoughtful here, because sometimes I think everything starts to sound like everything else, right? Similar to a blog post. You put in like a traditional prompt, you're going to get something spit out that's like everybody else. So that's one thing to look at. And the second thing, it's not AI, but if you're going to do something on LinkedIn, you can literally look at LinkedIn ads and come up and you can see all of your either competitors. If you put in a company name or if you put in a category or a vertical, it will show you all the ads within that space and their performance. So it'll show you the creative, the messaging that they're using, and the analytics. So if you want ideas, just kind of like what's working on LinkedIn, easy way to do that.
I love that. I've used Facebook ads like before to go, but I've not done that on LinkedIn. So that's a great one.
Easy.
Hot
Yeah.
tip.
Yeah. Hot. Yeah. Full of them. We've got plenty.
Okay, one more, and then we're going to go a little deeper. So the last one is tracking and analyzing KPIs.
So I have not yet. This is one I'm curious if anyone else has found a good one. Found a good AI tool for this specifically. I'm still like, use your BI dashboards, your Tableaus, your product ops, whatever marketing ops teams are still, I think, the best at pulling this together. Now, if there's certain other things that you want to track outside of your kind of typical KPIs, right? Outside of your product adoption and retention and things like that, right? There's one called Tribal. So that is really good at pulling out kind of stats around what is being said. So what messaging, competitive mentions, things like that. But it's more of like talk track. So if you want to know what talk track that's working and how that talk track goes through the deal cycle. So from, first call to potentially close or close lost, you can kind of track what that message is for the calls that you're winning and losing more often. So that's kind of interesting. The other one that's interesting is there's a company called Alpha Sense. So not to be confused with Alphana, but this one will index all of your content and then index your calls to understand what questions are you getting asked the most from your customers and prospects and objections. And it'll like link it with your content to say, okay, is your content proactively answering these questions or objections? And it'll give you, I love a good like pie chart, right? It'll show you what that overlap is or what it isn't. So if you're like really under indexing on a certain, again, question or objection, it'll tell you that so you can then write content to proactively address that, which makes sales easier, which makes the whole process easier. I'm really big on trying to close, make deal cycles smaller and faster, right? So that's a really kind of underappreciated gem when it comes to making sure your content's like addressing the right pain points and not just like continuing to write content. So some interesting other things to try and track.
I love it. You crushed the lightning round. Good job. Tons of awesome tools that I'm sure people have not heard of before. So I'm excited for everyone to give them a try. But now I want to kind of pick your brain a bit on how we as listeners can really start to build this kind of muscle ourselves of exploring, playing. And so to do that, I want to dig into some of the content you do create. So you have these amazing, I'm going to call them series on LinkedIn. They're like little weekly things that you do. One of them is called PMM Hacks. One is like Prompt of the Week. And I always look forward to them. I think they're awesome. So please keep creating. But I'm curious if you could share maybe one post or experiment that have been one of your favorites to share, or that maybe your audience has like resonated with the most.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So many thoughts and ideas here. I would say one thing as you're like either dipping your toe in or like learning what to explore yourself, like how to get started, I would say two things. One, find a pain point. Like what are you really struggling with? Again, like what takes a lot of time, and then literally search, ChatGPT or Google of like AI tools that do this. Image generation, customer journey mapping, journey optimization, whatever. Like start there and try things out. The reason I say that is because one of my favorite things that I do that I think people appreciate is like comparisons. Now, it's funny because as a product marketer, I have a love-hate with like feature comparison charts. Like I don't know. I have a love-hate with it. I don't know how you feel about it, but
I do as well.
Okay. I figure we're on the same page. But ironically, one of the favorite things I love to do is to compare AI tools against each other and what is good for what reason, or if this one's similar to that AI tool, like when should you use it, or what are the pros, the cons, the limitations, things like that. So even if it's as simple as pulling up a tab for like ChatGPT versus Claude versus Gemini, right? And putting in the same prompt and just seeing side by side what it spits out, like similar for tools, right? So if I know one tool is slightly better at one thing than the other, those use cases start to like help deliver better results faster within that tool. Now, where things get interesting is how you start pulling that into workflows. So there's like custom GPTs, and then there's agents, and then there's workflows, right? They kind of like build on each other. And once you've figured out like what tools are good, what custom GPTs are good, then you can start building agents, and then you turn those agents into workflows. That's like when some magic happens. So I say that because there's just so much to test out, and some of the content I love, again, are those comparisons, what works well and what doesn't. But then if there's something that really doesn't work for your use case, you can really dig in and start trying new things. So like vibe coding with Lovable, I have turned so many things into like fun vibe coding worlds. If you haven't tried it, like absolutely, I've done like bachelorette itineraries on Lovable that are like interactive, so personal use. Like try it for something fun just to like see what happens, like travel itineraries, things like that, because then you'll see how cool this can be used like in other ways. So I'm sure Jonathan Pepek's probably reached out to you, or Zach Roberts from We're Not Marketers. Like they've done some really cool things with Lovable for product launches. So they've turned it into like a microsite of like, here's the pre, during, and post-launch assets, and here's what to say, and here's how to share. Like, so I say this because there's so many cool ways that I'm starting to get more into like the workflows and the vibe coding world in terms of like content I'm sharing or things that I'm learning. But there's just like, again, so many fun things to try. So if you're like, I'm not sure how I feel about this for work, try it for something personal. And I think you'll probably get addicted because it is really fun to play around with.
I love that. Two things I'm kind of taking away from what you said. The first one was if you can isolate a problem that you have that you want to try to solve, that's going to give you a good starting point. Because I definitely resonate. Like sometimes I just have the mindset like I need to use AI more, or I want to feel more comfortable with AI. But it's like, okay, well, where do I start with that? So I think that's really great advice. And then the second one I love of find something in your personal life. I've definitely done that. Explored like a cooking with ChatGPT. So like, I'm like, hey, help me figure out like recipes for the week. Ask me a bunch of questions to understand like my food preferences, my meal, like cuisine preferences, how much I want to spend. And that was like actually a really fun way of understanding like how ChatGPT folders worked and what level of content I should include.
Yeah.
And you kind of go down the rabbit hole and then you get excited about like, oh, that was fun. How do I apply that to maybe a more work environment?
Yeah. Oh my, the recipe one. Oh, even like Siri, if you say what ingredients you have in your fridge, it'll like suggest a recipe to make that night. I'm like, I am not a cook, thank you. I need all the help I can get. Or like budgeting, like personal finances. And you're like, I don't know. I spend too much on Amazon. Like help me build a budget. And like, you can then vibe code that into like a personal budget optimizer. Like there's that, like, again, you totally get hooked. The recipe one's like 10 out of 10. That's a great way to do it.
So fun, right? Okay. I'm curious about how you think about building like your own personal system for trying tools. Let me explain what I mean by that. It's like, again, we're marketers. We're very busy. We often have so many different requests coming in from so many different teams that like, okay, maybe I've identified the problem I want to solve, but like setting aside the time to do that, because it does require play, right? Especially if you're just going into it with the mindset of like, I need to learn this tool as fast as possible. That's different. But I think what we're talking about in this episode is how do we embrace play? How do we have fun with this? And I think that requires time. And so I'm just curious, do you have like time set aside every day for this? Or how do you both discover new tools and then like make the space to play with those tools?
Yes. It's like a work hard, play hard thing. So there's a couple routes I go before maybe I personally start trying to figure out.
Yeah.
So like one, like ask people, crowdsource. Like I think, what was it, last week, 2 weeks ago, I literally asked, does anyone have a good AI tool for measuring KPIs, right? Like people have tried this, have done this. Like I've certainly not tried everything. And so I look for people that have, tried it, and then they start sharing really good examples. So like if it's something totally unique, ask people, see what they've tried, what worked, what hasn't worked. It'll give you a good starting point, or they'll help lead you in the right direction early on. The second thing I would say is like embrace the tools you already have as a marketing team. You may have like, I don't know, a CRM or like Gong again, like use AI in the tools that you already have, because that will get you a good entry point into what is out there, what you can use. And again, you're not like asking for more budget for more tools and things like that. It's just an easy way that you already have the tool, use the AI. I think marketers, if you have Figma or Canva, for example, the AI in there for like image generation or like AI carousels, if you're a marketer handling social, like there's so many really easy ones to try there. And then it again starts to help you think like, what else can I do with this? Or what else do I need? So that's 2. And then 3, there are really good agent marketplaces out there. So if you aren't ready to build an agent and you want to see what exists or use something that already exists, there's really good marketplaces like agent.ai. And I heard, I think Maven is another one that you can just search, for example, as a product marketer, like ICP generator or competitive intelligence agent, just to see what's out there and kind of understand what other people are building, is a really great place to try too. Now, in terms of timing and how the heck do you make time for this? Hopefully those 3 steps can get you to where you need to be fast, or at least to try something. I am a bit of a tech nerd, so that's why I enjoy, I do at night, I'm like, oh, like, I wonder if this was cool, or I'll see like a mention of a new AI startup and I'm like, okay, this looks interesting. Now I will say, I think I mentioned this earlier, like I don't want to say I've been burned, but like I've tried AI tools that just aren't up to par yet. And like I will give founders that feedback. But like, again, the best thing about like a marketing millennials or like ecosystems and communities like that is you can learn from each other, and that gets us to where we need to be faster. But yes, I am a little bit of a tech nerd, and if I see a new tool that I think will help me, I will try it out, but then I will let everyone know what I personally think of it for my use cases. And I think the more we can all do this, the better, the tools will get and the better we can all learn together. So
yeah, I agree. I think like anything in life, you're going to get the best recommendations from people you already know and trust. So
yes.
That makes total sense.
From restaurants to AI and everything in between. Yeah.
Literally.
I need good sushi. Like, let me know.
So, I mean, you've obviously tried so many different tools, probably more than almost anyone else that I know. I would love to just like get your perspective on where, and it doesn't have to be specific tools. It could be like categories of work for marketers. Where is AI like really changing the game versus where are we still having an edge as marketers and humans?
Sure. So I guess the second point first, I think we will always have, especially a strategic edge. So as AI gets better with, I don't know, image generation or some content, like we will always have a creative and strategic edge. And like, I really encourage, and I'm excited about like everyone on this, listening is like, don't forget that, like, don't use that creative edge because okay, let's take blog posts, for example, right? If someone write a blog post about X topic, guess what? You're not the only one putting that prompt in, and everything that gets spit out sounds exactly the same. I mean, I know we all joke about this, but this, like the juxtaposition, the M dash is like, it's very, very clear when something has been written and posted that is copy and paste from ChatGPT. Like, we're all triggered, right? Like we
Yes.
know those posts. And so you can't lose that human touch because again, you will literally sound like everyone else. And not only that, but like, I don't know, remember, now I'm dating myself, the days where you had like turnitin.com and it would say if something was like plagiarized or not. Like even LinkedIn's getting better about tagging things as AI generated, which I think is fine and I highly encourage it. But as marketers, we need to keep that creative flair. I mean, that's probably why we got into marketing, right? So like that's still very, very important. Where I think AI will get really good that I'm really excited about for marketing is truly that like customer journey. So historically, we've been the ones to say, I don't know, in any kind of engagement platform, right? You have like, they do this, then they get this email or this text message and they do this and you give them like an abandoned cart email. Like it's very, I think historically, it's very manual and it's very kind of everything's the same. You copy one journey into a different channel or you take a abandoned cart journey and you do it for, I don't know, in-store, whatever. You like copy and reuse and it's so manual. I think where AI is getting really, really good that I'm excited about is like really customizing that journey for a person, like one-to-one. I think we're finally getting to what we all wanted one-to-one personalization to be versus like one-to-many, like even segments. It's still a group. Like Tamara and I might have very different, we might both love, I don't know, Ann Taylor, but have very different preferences on what we like or when we shop or how we shop. And so I think while we're still in the world of building segments, the only reason we're still there is because we've been limited by technology. And I see AI finally getting us to the point where marketing is going to be one-to-one. And we're still the ones coming up with like ideas and variations and campaigns and what's going to make that one-to-one interaction more interesting and meaningful is where we'll still definitely play a huge role, but we'll finally get to the point where, oh my gosh, we're talking to, everyone like a real human, and what we've been talking about forever. What we've wanted, like it's finally coming, and I hope everyone's embracing that because like as a consumer, I'm thrilled about it. I'm like, take my data and like give me something really personal, like finally, because I still can't think of a brand or a company that truly does that well. So I'm excited.
No, I love that. Honestly, like big segmentation fan myself. And I've been thinking about like personalization since I worked at Unbounce because we're obviously thinking about landing pages and how to get the right message to the right person. And I agree. Like I've studied so many companies doing this. I've tried to do this myself as a marketer and it is still like half there,
Yeah.
Same thing with attribution. It's like we can kind of get close, but I do think that both attribution and this like personalized messaging experience will both be solved with AI, which I am very excited about.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, even like, so here's the thought, and I'd love your take. I don't know, now we're going to flip the script, but like, so MQLs, we all know and love them. We probably still have goals. In a world of AI, do we think we're still measured on MQLs, or it'll become easier? Because like I've seen a lot of good, if you need to be careful to do it right, like a lot of good personalized outreach using AI, right? So you typically sales will have done that, but if you're like a marketer, you're finding your ICPs using AI, you're sending personalized messages. Again, some are hit or miss, some tools are better than others, but do you think in the world of AI, are we still going to be measured on MQLs and maybe it'll get easier, or do you think there's something else that like we'll start thinking about? I don't know. Like, will marketing be more focused on revenue? Like, I don't know. Conversions always, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a great question. I've definitely given it some thought as well. And I mean, I think there's a couple factors. First of all, teams are flattening. We know that, right? And they will continue to do so as we roll out more agents as well, right? Like there will be digital employees. I think it's very clear we're going in that direction. And I do think as individual employees, like as a director of marketing, will I be measured on MQLs? I don't think so anymore, because to your point, I think in the not so far future, we will have most of those activities done by digital employees. So I think, to bring it back to the flatter, kind of smaller teams, I think there will be smaller teams of more leaders and strategic marketers. And maybe that's like, there is still someone doing different types of marketing or sales and marketing, whatever it might be. And I do think it's going to be more like a revenue KPI personally.
I think so too.
And we're going to be like, great, like we as the humans are accountable for like earning the final dollar, let's call it. And, we are using our team of digital employees and tools and some, human employees as well to like build and move people down the funnel. But I think we won't measure our success as marketing teams by that anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thrilled personally.
Truly.
MQLs is, I have a love-hate relationship with. So I mean, that excites me, right? I mean, it is as, if you're uncertain about agents or like having an agent digital employee on your team, like I can say I've really had fun with it. Like they are as good as you make them. Like ultimately you have the control over what is the output, what is the input. Like you can make it as powerful or as, chill, as simple as you want it. And so without a good prompt, without people like building these, without understanding how these agents work together, what good are agents? I know we have like we just had like an agent hackathon internally, and like we have a little ecosystem that we build within Glean, which is like our internal AI search. I love, it's a fun one to build agents in. But I guess I say that because like, again, like this, like you're kind of choosing your own adventure and kind of choosing your destiny here. So if you want to get ahead of what your digital team looks like, which is really support for you, start thinking about use cases or roadmaps, or again, ask what agents your marketing peers are using right now to make their jobs easier. Because like, I don't know, not to quote Ricky Bobby, but like if you're not first, you're last, right? Like you don't want to be the last person to use an agent to make your life easier when your competitors are. So, I'm clearly not competitive at all, but but it's fun. So like, give it a try.
I love it. Well, and even going back to some of your earlier comments around like what marketers will still be unique for, right? I think we talked about strategy, but I'll also just say like marketing foundations, like someone still needs to understand human psychology. Someone still needs to understand like how to sell to humans, right? Like what message do you give at what point in time? How do you convert someone in order to construct the system of agents that will carry that out?
Yes.
And so I think we're still a very far way away from being able to replicate that level of understanding and thinking when it comes to marketing strategy and human strategy.
Oh my gosh, that and like hallucinations by AI is so real. Like I'm like PTSD here. I don't know if you probably heard about the Replit drama, the vibe coding platform that deleted like an entire database and then lied about it. Oh my God. If anyone sees the chat transcript, it's like sadly hilarious that, AI not only can do stuff like that, but like hallucinations are so real and a human needs to catch that. And I think that will continue to be the case, because if companies relied on all agents to like do marketing and content generation and like the delivery of that, literally every company would sound the same. Like there would be no conversation of what's different, or it would hallucinate, and then that hallucination would just like triple, quadruple. I mean, it just gets worse and worse. And so like we definitely need humans beyond. I mean, you know, I need leaders and someone to help me with what I'm doing. Just so do agents. So
Totally. I love how we started this episode and I was like, we're going to embrace like the fact that we're always going to be needed as marketers. And somehow we've ended this with a prediction that like digital employees are going to take over our jobs. So
no.
But I want to make sure we're leaving everyone on a high note. So if there are people who are listening and maybe not from our conversation, but just from in general, they have that anxiety of like, I am going to be replaced. What kind of final words do you have for them to reassure them?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, like AI will handle repeatable tasks that you don't want to do, right? Like this is your ability to push some of that stuff onto an agent that you don't, maybe it's your favorite part about job or time consuming, right? Like you ultimately own the workflow that handles the inputs, that then creates the outcomes. Like you're designing the system and how things work together, and you keep the judgment at the end of the day. So you still have to be in the loop. Otherwise, it's like you're letting, like, it's like what you see in the movies. Like things don't end well in the movies because of just letting that go. So like that's absolutely still hugely important. I think the other thing to think about is like you also own the narrative design. You own the experimental design as you're trying these things, the prompting that you're doing. So again, everything that goes into these agents are led by humans. Yes, I think eventually there will be agentic learning and reinforcement learning, and agents will be able to bring in context into what they're doing, but they're still, you still have to build them in the ecosystems and the workflows that they live in and work in. So, yeah, I mean, again, get your hands dirty, give one or two a try, just, personal, professional, whatever. And the community's here to help. No one's being, like there are still so many things that you need to have your hands on as a human.
I love it. Well, this has been such a fun episode. Honestly, so many like real practical things that I know I want to try, and I'm sure our listeners also want to try. But we wrap up every episode of the Marketing Millennials with the same question, which is, Michelle, what is one marketing hill that you would die on?
I would say creativity breeds innovation. So don't ever get rid of that, like the ideas and the brainstorming. I would say that's one. And maybe the second one, just to be, I don't know, not controversial, but like, I think 80 is the new 100. I think back to kind of where we all started this, right? Is like, panic versus, like play, like get to good enough and keep going and iterate and learn. That's true for marketing in general, but agents as well. So I think, part of what we do is we have to move quickly, but have fun with it and make sure that, you're pushing things forward and don't worry about perfection all the time. Cause I used to be that person, and, it's a struggle. The struggle is very real.
Yes, I still need to remind myself of that as well. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was amazing. Where can people follow you, learn more about all the things that you're learning and sharing?
Yes, yep, LinkedIn. Always there lurking. So anything I can do to help, questions, comments, brainstorms, coffee chats. I am addicted to coffee. So like, please reach out. Give me another good excuse to go to Starbucks. I'm here for it.
Amazing. Well, thanks again for coming on.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much for listening. Keep tuning in to hear more great insights from the coolest marketers from around the world. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and follow the Marketing Millennials podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like what you hear, I would greatly appreciate you giving us a 5-star rating. It helps bring more marketers into our community.